Well, hello, EK Nation. Welcome to, I will say a new edition, I guess. It's been a while since we've had a happy hour with Howden. Obviously, the big reason for this happy hour is, as you've seen if you followed on social media, today is the 25th anniversary of eKartingNews.com. Obviously, a big day to kind of celebrate. We've got a bunch of guests that we're going to talk to about all these years of eKartingNews.com, a site that I didn't start myself. I actually purchased it in 2004, and that's, of course, when David Cole, my right-hand man here with me today, came on board. But Dave, it's a cool day, man. Yeah, we celebrated you being with us for 20 years, which is essentially was when we started. I bought the site because I immediately grabbed you when I bought it. But 25 years with this website that started back in 2000.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. Again, I was in college, so it does kind of date us a little bit. Yeah, and like I said in my article, my column today is, at that time, I was looking for anything having to do with karting on the internet. We were in the Pete Muller karting mailing list. So that predates websites, and it was just a mailing list. And that's originally how people connected in our sport. And then when the World Wide Web came along, AOL and the dial-up, it was just whatever you could find because, it was what, what's cool in karting on the internet. Let's figure this out. And then the discussion board started up. Bob's Force Cycle was a big one as well. I'm trying to think. It was at kartweb.com.
Kartweb was John Denham's website, I think. Kartweb.
Yeah. And then there was Kartcom or some other one that a guy in Indiana, I cannot think of his name.
There were a couple that were on like those GeoCities deal.
Yeah.
GeoCities.
So again, it was just people, no different than what social media is today, just getting on and talking about things within the sport. And, as a young 20-something-year-old that just loved karting, it was the only way outside of magazines I was able to kind of connect with the sport going on in the country and around the world. And then in 2000, this website came along. And it's like, oh man, news and updates and everything like that. And it was exactly that. It was that, and it was ever changing, more news, local news. It was just a combination of all different types of journalism, and they were trackside as well too. And that was a unique thing. And again, like you'll talk about a little bit, with a magazine, you have to kind of wait a month, and the internet, it was almost same day or the day after, depending on, that night's party. That's right, because that's pretty much how journalism was, and it's kind of still is, but
a little bit.
There wasn't that pressing amount like we got to get it out this second. It was we can wait till Monday morning kind of thing, and still kind of get the viewership. But really for me, it was the connections. We'll talk about it later, but yeah, it was making a lot of different connections through eKarting News.
Yeah, settle in. It is a happy hour. I got a cocktail.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot going on in my head right now. I got to relax. I'm amped up from tennis.
All right, there's lots to talk about. So back in that time, I had launched Shift to Card Illustrated magazine in 1998, at the Super Nationals in 1998. So I was doing the magazine thing, David, as you said. It was a deal where I would go to all the races. I'd have notes, not a lot because I remembered stuff back then. I was pretty young. And I would come home and then I would, write all the articles, race reports. We would build the magazine over a 3-week period, and you wouldn't see any news on a race that happened, 4 weeks ago until the magazine came back out. And so when eKarting News came up, I wrote in my column, I literally remember Glenn Holland walking into the scoring tower at the Oklahoma Motorsports Complex, and here's who I am. And I was like, this is super cool. He wants to work with SCUSA. I was announcing the races for Jim Burley and Don Janowski in the old SCUSA Pro Moto Tour. And these guys came in and filled a void is really what they did. It was obviously very new technology to be able to have that kind of news, be right on top of it all. The website design was extremely well done. It was simple. It got the job done. We used it for 13 years, for God's sakes. But it was really well done. And I remember being, first off, happy that they were in. Then they became competition, but we were kind of a symbiotic competition to a certain extent. They were the immediate news. We had the full color magazine. So it really kind of fit in really, really well with what was going on for the sport. Eventually, the owners of the website decided to go in a different direction. They offered it to me to come and buy it, which I was hugely honored that they would come to me to be essentially what I would call the steward of eKartingNews.com, right? Just like Roger Penske's the steward of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I've got EKN for however long until I pass it on as well to you, David. But it's it was those were some interesting times, and the cool factor was, and we'll get into it later when we bring in the founder and Glenn Holland and Chris Ortenberg was a big part of it early. It was those forums, David, that really were and turned eKartingNews into the hub of karting on the internet. Nowadays, people are on Facebook commenting, that kind of stuff. Back then, if you wanted to talk about racing, it was the eKan forums. That was it.
Yeah, and again, that's how I made my connections. That's how I was introduced to people. That's how I learned people's names, who they were. And it wasn't just the national racers; it was regional guys and club guys getting to know. Because again, with the way the forums were set up, it was different sections of you had your general discussions, but you had 2-cycle, 4-cycle, road racing, dirt, all different types of things. Obviously, classifieds. People sold thousands and thousands of items through the eKan forums of karting equipment or anything else they were trying to sell. But the connections, that was the biggest thing. A lot of different people I got to know and met them through the forums. And then when I became part of eKan, started meeting them at the racetrack or at events or at KMI show, different types of events. So yeah, before social media, the forums were just the massive way of communicating with the community. And again, it wasn't just US based. A lot of international guys were part of the forums. I know in the road racing side, a lot of supercar guys from UK and New Zealand and Australia were a part of it. But even sprint racers and dirt racers, they all came in and it was a way to kind of check up on how people were doing, what things were happening, discuss the latest news. I mean, that was the thing. If it was on the front page of eKan, there was a topic started or multiple topics started in the general discussion about that news item. So a lot of, there was just so many different conversations. I mean, we probably had 6 figures in terms of members at one time, I would say.
So later on in the show, we're going to get into what happened when we grabbed a hold of the website, when it came into our control, and we kind of worked our way forward from there. And it became part of what was then Howden Communications. It paired up with Supercar Illustrated magazine that I had at that point for a while. That kind of rolled on. And as we get into that, we're going to invite anybody, if they do want to come on the show, just drop us a DM somewhere on here, whatever. And David can maybe send you the link here to come into the studio and chat. But we're going to start with eKan History 101 because, folks, we have to go back. We know how things change in the sport. People come and go. If you've been here for 25 or 30 years, you're going to know this name because this gentleman is the man that really put it together with himself, Brian Stiver, and Jeff Franz. Glenn Holland, the founder of eKartingNews.com, is joining us. Glenn, the man who started it all. This feels so cool to have you back. Thank you for taking the time. I know you just flew into wherever you are. You're in a hotel room somewhere. Thank you, Glenn.
I'm in Boston.
Awesome. Well, what do you think when you look? Step back and have a look at the fact that this website you guys started, and then you and I talked about when you guys wanted to leave. We picked it up. I purchased it off you guys. It's still going. It's still going strong.
And that's fantastic. And Rob, Dave, thanks for having me on the show. I wish I had a drink for happy hour, but I don't. I have hotel water.
That's all right.
But just hearing you guys give the background brought back so many memories and a bit of what it was like back then. And it's obviously still in my memory, a big part of my life. I still love racing. I love karting. But it was, those were great days back then.
Can you give us some of the maybe motivation on how it started? I know that you guys kind of got into racing, but let's give it. How did eKan even start?
So in 98, and I wasn't young at this point, but I was a racing fan my whole life. My mom actually raced sports cars before she had me. So it was kind of in the blood. So I go to Skip Barber Racing School in 98 and, catch the bug. It's like the needle in the arm.
That's it.
So I did a few Barber races, and as others can attest, they drain your wallet super fast. So I'm like, I gotta find, where can I race for less money? And, I grew up in the San Gabriel Valley area, which you can argue was the birthplace of karting. Bug Karts was just a few miles from where I was born. So I started looking into that, and Rich Hearn had a shop in Arcadia where I wasn't living there anymore, but that's where I grew up, Arcadia, California. So the way I am, I go in and I start picking his brain about karting and all, and he was a great guy. And so I start trying to research on the internet because I was already in a tech job then. I still am now. That ended up being my entire career. I'm like, I can't find enough information about karting. So as I like to tell people over the years, I said, I I decided to start a karting website, and I knew nothing about two subjects, karting and websites. So, it takes just that amount of stupidity, ignorance to do something fun and potentially great. So, to make the story short, Jeff Franz was a friend. He was a big racer. He had raced before. He had a journalism degree. So, I kind of put the pieces together. And yeah, that Oklahoma event, the finals in Oklahoma 25 years ago was the first official. We sort of had the site up, and I was on a business trip to Dallas, where I now live, and drove up to Oklahoma. They extended the trip on the company's dime, and showed up like an idiot. Talked to you and Stasco, and had my little Sony digital camera, and took pictures of Darren Elliott and Bobby Wilson, who finally won.
Yeah,
and that kind of started the whole thing.
Wow, it's fantastic. And again, like you said, the websites were new back then. I think for you guys to put that website together and just the way that it was formulated, the structure behind it, the platform, and then you guys were off and running at that point, right? Yeah, based a lot in Southern California. We're going to bring Chris Ortenberger in. He was kind of part of the early days with
Chris was a big help with us getting started. So you mentioned the Mueller forums, and that was such an important part in the evolution of the site. So we were doing our things, and David had mentioned a few things. We were getting some viewers, but the Mueller forums were everything. And Jeff and I, and then Brian, when he joined, we'd have discussions, and we're like, forums are huge. We need forums, but we do not want to try to compete with what Pete's doing for several reasons, out of respect, ethics, and just, we would probably lose. He owned it. And one day, I don't know how long it was, one day he contacts us. He's like, guys, I'm done, and I want you to take over the forums. And we were like,
please.
So I literally think it was over a weekend. I'm like, I got to figure out how to do this. So I went out, I figured out what bulletin board system he was using. I downloaded it, and Jeff and I talked. We're like, just copy it exactly.
Yeah.
Make it as seamless as possible for everybody just to come over. And so it was, it's like what you mentioned, Penske. And I was going to ask you, Rob, when are you going to get Fox to come in and own 30% of your business and then get some TV?
I'd be happy to give somebody my phone number right now.
But we did that, and that was really the accelerator. It was preparation meets opportunity, I think.
Yeah, because the site did a couple generations early on, because the first site was different than when you brought the forums on, and I think it was 22 or 23 was kind of that newer format that we kind of kept all the way until 2013. So was it just the way kind of things were changing, or was it something visually that you guys wanted to change it up a little bit here and there every year?
So I could argue that, great question, David. I could argue that visually, and Chris will have some insight on this too, because he helped with this. Visually, I think the site looked the best near the very beginning, when it was in Dreamweaver and they were static pages, and basically we do a news story. Jeff would send me the story, and I would create a page, link. So for scale, we had to change our platform, but at the same time, to make posting easier, I was devising how to build an advertising model that would both increase our advertising every month and make that a consistent source of revenue, but make it very, very easy to manage and easier to get viewership data. So we kind of re-platformed the site. I hired a guy. In fact, I just maybe a couple months ago saw him on LinkedIn. He's still around, from Ukraine.
Wow.
And he was our developer for a lot of years on that sort of version 3 site that was based on a different kind of PHP scalable structure.
Oh yeah. I remember all
that.
We ran.
Remember all that.
And as soon as those Howden checks came, it was like, there you go, guys. Hopefully I helped you a little bit.
You guys were fantastic. The transition was amazing. We obviously were able to do what we needed to do with it fell in really well to the company I already had. Right, I had sales, I had accounting, I had editorial, so it really fit seamlessly into what we were doing. With, of course, David and Tim Blaney was the editor of Ski at that point, Shifter Card Illustrated. But before we bring Chris Ortberger in, we talked about this before we started the show. This logo, obviously like iconic. I remember seeing it when you guys were my competition. I love my ski logo, but man, that eKarting logo looks so good on the front corner, on the front bumper of every go-kart. Where did it come from? It's still here. Give us the history.
So obviously, every brand needs a logo. So another kind of friend from Southern California, actually a good friend of my brother's, they played in a band together, named Michael Fiore. He was a creative guy, musician who played all over, but he just super creative. So he had a creative firm, and we sat down. It probably took us 90 minutes. He had I don't even remember what he had. Maybe it was Illustrator out. And he just started riffing, and we started talking. And, he built an ellipse and covered it with another ellipse and this and that and the other thing. And the E was born. And I think you guys are smart not to change it. It's great.
Like it.
If I was at home, and we've been tomorrow we've been in Texas for 21 years. I still have an eKartingNews shirt. I would have pulled it out of the closet and worn it. But great logo.
Well, listen, let's bring Chris Ortberger in here right now, because he was very early, really good friend of ours. Like, we've obviously got to know Chris over the last number of years to become a good friend. Chris, fellow SuperKarts USA Hall of Famer. Chris, thanks for taking the time, buddy. I know you're in Indianapolis right now. I love having you on here as well.
Of course. Thanks. Happy to hear and be here and just kind of hear some of the old stories. It's fun just to reminisce.
Let's go back. Obviously, you were a young guy back then. I think you were doing the Skip Barber thing just like Glenn was doing. You were in karting as well. Your brother karted. Just give me your thoughts on those early days when kind of the EKN thing happened.
Yeah, super fun time, right? So at that particular time, I was working at XL Fast Graphics, which was one of the few helmet painters at that time. So it was kind of the round table of people coming in and out of the door. It was fairly close to JM Racing, which was across the street, her and Competition Karting. So guys like Glenn would walk in on a daily basis. And it was fun, of course, working there, getting to pick their brain, find out what they were up to, what they were racing, what they sort of saw within the industry. And I do remember when Glenn, obviously, who was a customer getting his helmet painted, dropped the idea for the website. I remember immediately just feeling, oh man, this is big. It's easy to say now, but during that time, websites, and in particular for karting, were very scant. So to have somebody come in with the passion, and what immediately stood out was the technical know-how. It leapt out to me like, okay, this is something credible. So they were very kind to say, hey, look, do you have any experience with web design? And I was at the time making my own website, which was something drivers had to do back then before the age of social media to try to get their name out into the ether.
Yep.
So it seemed like a good fit where you kind of know a bit about doing some basic websites and stuff like that. Maybe there's a collaboration. So I was just remember kind of feeling like I'd gotten into something on the ground floor.
No doubt about that. Glenn, what do you remember about this young kid over at XL Fast Graphics?
Well, as somebody who was a few years older, I thought, well, here's a really nice young guy. He loves racing. He is racing, and he knows how to do some of this stuff. So just on all the factors, really an optimal person to bring into our circle and help us grow it. He had a column for quite a while on there. He helped with design and layout and all sorts of things. So
love it.
The Ort report.
Yeah.
I wished I had thought of that.
Yeah.
It's funny now where, a lot of these young kids that are, to them, it's second nature to think about publicity and getting their name out there, whether that's social media in 2025. But in, that era, I immediately saw the opportunity to say, goodness, I can collaborate with these guys and sort of, effectively earn is an advertorial for all intents and purposes, just kind of working my way to have my own column. I think I was the original cover boy, which is still, a point of pride.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it's, I just remember feeling, super grateful that I could kind of get my foot in the door and sort of hijack the attention for a few brief moments on sort of the racing aspirations that I had.
I will say when you look at this picture, I mean,
yes.
who are you going to pick as the poster boy, right?
The kid in the middle, man. He should have been in a boy band.
Exactly. Yeah. 98 degrees or something like that.
Yeah, that's out of Paris, isn't it, Chris?
I believe it is. Yeah. Goodness.
That was a particularly bad endurance kart racing.
Were those Hearn endurance races?
That's right.
Yeah, and that was, I think that was the most fun I had in racing.
You look like it right there, Glenn.
Yeah. No, everything, as you see, everything broke. I will say that I didn't do any of that damage while I was driving.
Okay, that's good.
So we got Chris in the middle, you to his left, Jeff Franz in the black there. Who's the guys on the ends?
So on facing the picture, that's Brian Stiver on the right, a close friend of mine, and one of the kind of three key founders of eKartingNews. And then the person on the far left is my brother Kenny.
There you go.
So we had quite a few different friends come in and race on that team, including Ron Capps, the drag racer, fun car driver, raced a couple races with us. So yeah, much fun.
I see that Chris Ortenberger changed the hairstyle a bit.
Hey, you know what? It's timeless, right? You got to stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, look at him; he's the same.
Hey, it's just lucky to have hair at this
all
point,
the way.
right?
That's a good point.
Rob
has less hair.
That's why I have the hat on right now.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let's first and foremost. Well, anything else, Chris? You have a little story, maybe from the old days? I'd love to. Before we kind of roll into what we did when we got it, what are some of the stuff you remember when you were with these guys?
Yeah, well, for one, the passion, right? It immediately, as Glenn touched on, the division of responsibilities now through the lens of 25 plus years after the fact. I just remember, it's easy now with the age of ad blockers and stuff like that. But back then it really felt like it was revolutionary for the sport, which I know that term can be overused. But, and Glenn, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they were one of the first ones that were really empowering drivers to have a driver profile as an example, right? Something that's pretty standard nowadays. But I remember Glenn working seamlessly with drivers to get them online and, kind of have their own dedicated URL.
Yeah. I still have AJ Allmendinger's driver profile card.
Yeah. I just remember that, it's hard to remember all of the various touch points, but just the things that it was doing for the sport in terms of awareness, the visibility. I think some of the early video stuff was on EKN. Things, I think it might have been like a real player or some of these early streaming video things. I just remember it was kind of a precursor for a lot of the stuff that we take for granted.
And I'll say this right now. We do it now. It's become the core of what we do, our EK and Trackside Live stuff. But you guys were there. I remember you guys had with Jeff, you had the RV. You guys bought the RV, right? The trailer. Yeah. You guys were trackside with an EKN trailer. And he was writing up the articles while he was trying not to drink too much, as we were all trying to make sure we plied it with booze so that our editorial would be messy. But the editorial was happening right there, right? You guys were trackside before anybody else was.
Yeah, and we were looking at how to have those cellular links to be able to upload and then video, and then the video. We fashioned some camcorders for helmet cams and put it on a few guys, and ultimately did a DVD that I don't think did that great. But when people say they like a DVD, it doesn't mean they will buy a DVD. I have to say, though, as a part of that kind of SoCal thing, the Buer family, Sean Buer and his folks, Greg and Staran, great people, helped us a ton. Andy Saisman, I'm probably leaving people out, but those two that come to mind of people who really not only helped us, but just had great relationships with a lot of fun.
Great relationship with Saisman there. Check that out.
Is he here?
No, the comment. There's a comment there on the screen.
I can't see.
It says, "Damn, you're old, Glenn."
That's awesome.
That is true. But I'm still here. Yeah. If I did the streaming and the driver profiles and all of that stuff, I mean, it was fun to do that. But if I thought like Reed Hastings of Netflix or Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, I might not be having this conversation.
Right. Okay,
but I didn't. I had a passion for racing. So
Glenn, I know that you pushed us because at that point, we tried. you said it, the back end of EKN, and Chris, you can attest to this. It's something that nobody else was going to do. I didn't have the knowledge how to do it. I wrote in my column earlier today, you could buy some software to update. I can't remember the name of the software I was using, but the websites were tough, and on dial-up was so hard. I remember sitting at the bar at the Rio, at Alice Station, trying to write up my predictions for the next race or whatever. It was just so tough, right? What you guys put together stood the test of time. We ran that platform till 2013 when it fell apart on us eventually and had to rebuild. What you guys built was something that obviously stood the test of time. I know that, and I'll say this right now, because I wrote again in my column, but the fact that when you called me and said, hey, listen, because Jeff had gone in his direction to start to do kart sport, you guys were looking to get out. You wanted to pass off the baton. We talked about it. We hashed out a deal. But the mutual respect we had when we did that, I think, was fantastic. And then moving forward, it was, again, like I said, it felt like it was something that I know I needed to take care of, right? It was my job to take eKartingNews to the next level and keep pushing with it. And I just love the fact that we've always kind of had a friendship since that purchase agreement 20 years ago.
Well, you were great from the very first day in Norman, Oklahoma, and I couldn't be happier with what you've done with it. So congrats on 25 years. It's been a great run, and hope to see it well into the future. Thanks, Rob.
Glenn, we appreciate it. Chris, thank you so much, guys. Thanks for coming on for the first segment of this EKN 25 Happy Hour with Howden. Thanks, guys.
Rob, can I say one thing super quick?
100%.
Yeah. I don't know how tight everybody is on time, but I just want to say
all night.
thank you.
If you guys don't want to go, we can keep doing this for another.
Or I don't know if Glenn has to go, but as I zoom out and kind of get reminiscent, I owe you guys a huge bit of thanks, because obviously 25 years later, I'm here in Indianapolis for the IMSA race, and in a weird way, Glenn kind of giving me that platform to start out, get my foot in the door, do some of this creative work. Over the years, it's ebbed and flowed in various print, web, different things, but I'm still here, still doing it. Obviously, that's manifested itself into something I've never had to get a real job. So huge credit to all of you. Frankly, it's you never forget the first opportunities that you have in sports like this. So just huge congrats. 25 years is no small feat. And Glenn, thank you for that early opportunity to kind of just dabble into like the creative side in the sport, and for all that it's benefited me and my family.
Appreciate it, and thanks for everything you did for us in those years. So you were invaluable.
Great stuff.
Yeah,
there.
And I kind of feel the same way. I kind of have to thank Glenn, because I wouldn't be where I am today without the start of eKartingNews. I mean, I didn't have a family when I first started with EKN 21 years ago. I have a senior in high school and an 8th grader, and what we do here is because of eKartingNews. I'm able to afford the house I'm in and do the things that we do, and it's just amazing. And so, yeah, I'm glad to be part of EKN again for the whole 25 years, because I was one of the first viewers picking up the website when it first launched. So, yeah, again, just it's amazing the what you thought was just a passion. And again, that's what I always talk about. I'm passionate for the sport. I know Chris is, Rob is certainly as well. And so passion can lead into great things. And I love that. And I hope more people realize that. And that's kind of what karting really is. It's a passion, it's a love. And thank you, Glenn.
Yeah, 100%.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, guys.
Glad to have some small part in it.
100%.
All right.
Glenn, Chris, thank you so much, guys. We appreciate it. Take care.
Guys.
We pause this show for a quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. Made in the USA. It's not just a statement, it's the mission at Factory Karts of America. Led by 5-time Super National champion Billy Musgrave, Factory Karts manufactures their frames completely in-house at the Phoenix, Arizona facility. Built and designed from the ground up specifically for the American karting market, Factory Karts brings new innovations and solutions that are long overdue. Factory Karts bring together the highest quality materials to produce high-performance, long-lasting karts that have been designed and perfected from years of development. No other karting manufacturer stands behind its product as Factory Karts does, providing a 2-year warranty on all their frames. Join the Factory Karts official race team this season, hitting the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour and Pro Kart Challenge, along with the new Southwest Super Series program. Full trackside support for Factory Kart competitors is available, along with Arrive and Drive programs and tent space housed under our new race team hauler that debuted at Super Nationals 27. Remember when American made meant more innovative, original, stronger, faster, and just plain better? Well, American Made is back. Contact Factory Carts today to join the American Made movement. Learn more by visiting factorycarts.com or email info@factorycarts.com.
Ever dream of competing in an international race against the best drivers in the world? This is your chance. The 2025 Rotax Racing Club California Championship Series, operated by Formula KFX, is an official qualifying event for the new Rotax Racing Club International Finals. The winner of the California Championship Series will receive a free spot in the 2026 International Finals event in Belgium. Your journey to the world stage begins in Sonoma, California on September 20th. Additional rounds of competition will take place on October 11th, November 15th, and December 13th at Sonoma Raceway Karting Center. Juniors, seniors, and masters drivers will battle it out in equally prepared Burrell Art N35X chassis karts with Rotax 125 Junior Max Evo engines. Secure your spot today in the Rotax Racing Club California Championship Series. Register at formulakfx.com/championship.
What brand is known around the world for its innovation and success? It is SodiKart. The Sodi brand returned in full force during the 2023 season thanks to a new exclusive importer, the karting distribution led by industry veteran Terry Germanovich. The French manufacturer SodiKart is a leader within the karting industry, offering a wide range of products and services. The Sodi Racing chassis line offers products in classes from mini karts to KZ, all based on years of development and championship seasons around the world. Sodi Racing USA has expanded its dealer network over the last year, bringing the Sodi brand to several local clubs and regional programs. Sodi USA by Velocity Racing is the official race team in the United States for the brand, hitting all the major events and series throughout the season. Visit Sodi-Racing-USA.com to learn more about the Sodi kart chassis or call 954-634-5111 to become part of the Sodi Racing USA network today. Sodi Kart, the world leader in the karting industry. Thank you for listening to the EKN Radio Network. We now join the show already in progress. Man, that's awesome, David. I know this is kind of our first segment. We got lots more to talk about here. A lot of great stuff coming up. People giving some congrats. We appreciate that. And then congrats not to us as well, but the guys that started that program, because without Glenn and Chris and everything they did to kind of set the road, right? David, get it kind of going in the right direction. And it kind of rolled right into where we needed it to be. And I guess that's probably the let's transition to that right now. I get a phone call from Glenn, 2004. Hey, listen, we want to sell the website. We think you'd be the guy that would be able to take it and move forward with it. And I said, yes. I said, okay, let's do this. I already had 3 magazines going at the time. We had Shifter Card Illustrated, Formula Car Magazine, and Speedway USA Magazine. And I was cranking out magazines every week. Every week was essentially a production week. And I added one more thing on the plate. David, let's just jump into that real quick. It started our connection, our partnership, you and I, because I picked you up as a young guy out of college. I don't know if you were a bartender then or whatever you were doing at that point.
Server. I got behind the bar occasionally, but I was mostly a server. I got done with college in, I guess that would have been December of 2002. At that time, I was still with Michigan Kart Club as a volunteer, looking to get married in 2023. So I was around the sport. I was a big part of Mid-State Enduro Series. That was essentially how me and you met. I was selling advertisements and sponsorships. We had a shifter class. So what do? You call up Shifter Card Illustrated and be like, hey, we need $250 to sponsor this class. And that was the first interaction, really. I mean, I'm sure we kind of knew each other. I knew your name from the forums and obviously the magazine itself, being a subscriber, but you had no idea who the hell I was. So, but the good thing is we had a mutual friend, Mark Miller.
We did.
And, I talked about it in my column. I go, the time we got to know each other was the trip down to Road Atlanta, Sebring, and Jacksonville in the majestic fucking Flyer.
Yeah. The RV. Oh my God.
In the RV, Class C RV. Yeah. And so us three, along with Mike Marini, who was working for you at the time, we drove down there and drove to Road Atlanta, got to see some road racing friends I know. And then we went to Sebring for the 12 hours of Sebring.
12 hours. Yep.
And again, it was a boys trip. It was a fun trip. We watched a lot of movies like Swingers and some other stuff.
Grilled out at the racetrack.
Grilled out of the racetrack, had some golf cart races inside the Sebring parking. But it opened my eyes to the world of kind of motorsports outside my own box, because really, at that time, again, there was just eKartingNews, just, the forums. I hadn't really gone anywhere else, except outside my own box. So opened my eyes to the car racing stuff, got to see Michael McDowell race at Star Mazda at the time, Jason Bowles and Ron White racing Skip Barber. Lots of different things there. And we went to Jacksonville, where I got to watch my first ever SCUSA Pro Moto Tour race. And the only one I got to watch, because it dwindled after that year. But again, that was our first connection. And then, a couple of months later, you come up to Road America, and it's just me and you in the car, and you offered the position. And it was like, well, I'm working at a restaurant. Why wouldn't I?
Right.
I wanted to be a teacher. I got done with school, and it took too long to be in school. I don't suggest that. And most people are called doctors when you go there that long. But it was a great connection. Again, I've been in the sport my whole life. My dad's been racing since '74. So karting's been always a piece of me, and the job just became more and more and more. And there isn't a day that goes by I don't think of karting. And so, when I say it's a passion, it's a love, it's a drug for a lot of us. It's just something we, yes, it's not every day of our lives, but I think about karting every day.
It's there, right? Yeah, it's always in the background for sure. So here's what happens. We end up buying the website. We got rolling with it, and very quickly was able to amp up advertising, and it started making some money, which was great. Our first big race to cover, because we had the magazine. So we're like, what do we do? We got this magazine. We cover the Supernats. You don't get to see the coverage for 6 weeks, 2 months later. We have eKartingNews. And again, shout out to Glenn and everybody involved, Jeff and Brian Stiver there, everybody that was that built that program, because we had this platform. All of a sudden, we had this immediate news platform that we're going to be able to go to the Supernats, and we're going to hit it hard when we get there.
And we also got to shout out Rhonda Mims Brown, because she was the editor of eKartingNews before you purchased it.
Yeah, you're right. And
she was so welcoming to me and to all of us. And she used to come to Supernats all the time and have a good time.
I can't believe man.
So it was great to have her kind of, at first it was kind of like, but she understood. I was a bit younger, and that was the direction we were going with.
Yeah. So Dave, we do the Supernats in 2004.
Yeah.
Based out of Ron Joint's Decal Works Toter Home.
It was pretty wild. And I had just met him for the first time on our way to Rock Island, because Rock Island Grand Prix of 2004, that was actually our first event together, because I was hired, but I wasn't doing eKartingNews yet. So I was there with the magazine, but it was kind of my first official event with Howden Communications Inc. at the time.
Yep.
And so, I got to meet Ron there, and the Supernats, it's no different than what we're doing now. We just try and find some shelter, some power, something that has some refreshments, and internet status. I mean, that was the hardest thing, even in 2004, was trying to connect to the website, to be able to do forum updates and live updates. There wasn't a phone that you could go on. It was a laptop had to be connected to the internet. So we had all these, what were the old big drives? Do you remember what they were called? I mean, Glenn might know. But
zip drive or something like that.
No, not a zip drive, but it was like the ones that go into the actual laptop.
Yeah, I can't remember right now.
I can't remember, but that's how the internet cards used to work.
That's right. It kind of plugged in the side. That's right.
And so the internet card went into the computer. It found the cell service, and that was essentially how we did the internet from trackside. Yeah. Now, mind you, we did more stuff when we got to the hotel, but when we wanted to do things there, that was a wild craziness of trying to do it at the track.
And put up that message from Glenn Hall on there. Big shout out to Rhonda Mims Brown. Throw that up there as well. Yeah, great work as editor of EK, and she held the site together as we navigated other projects. Awesome stuff. Rhonda, again, one of the legendary drivers in the sport as well.
Yeah, a lot of Duffies. A lot of Duffies.
A lot of Duffies for sure. Interesting that one of the things that we did start, and we'll come back to internet access later on because there's actually a really good internet access story.
Yeah.
It cost me a lot more money than I thought it was going to. But David, one of the first things we did once we did this is, and again, I'll say shout out to you because a lot of things you've done over the 21 years now is evolving with the technology, right? Everything's been changing. Now you're radio station manager for the EKN Radio Network, podcasts, everything that we do, right? Well, we decided, I can't even remember how we started to do this. I remember buying the little recorder. We had a recorder. We started doing podcasts. We started essentially doing recorded shows, which were the Happy Hour with Howden. That's how this thing started. The first one we did was at the Stars of Karting finale at Iron Rock Raceway in Austin, Texas. I remember being under the tent there. Where I think you have a shot of it, don't you?
Yeah, that's the photo that we have here in our cover photo.
Look where we're at. We're Champion Racing, Rodney Berryhill.
Champion Racing, Intrepid tent. Rodney Berryhill is in the red shirt right there. And then, of course, Ron White, the ageless Ron White. There in the blue. He's sitting next to you. We got Tim Blaney in the Supercard Illustrated shirt next to him. He was the editor of the magazine at the time. And then Paul Zalud's got his back to us there where the EKN 25 logo is. And yeah, that was our first ever Happy Hour with Howden podcast show that we recorded with that little Lexicon recorder there that plugged in to that massive laptop that I have sitting in front of me. You guys had some Bud Light. I think that was the only sober happy hour I did because I don't drink beer. So we made sure that we took care of that the rest of the time. But yeah, the whole concept was to just add more to the race reports. You can, it was, again, you can only write so much. Like we could spend hours and hours writing about a race report, but we wanted to get kind of more personal with what's going on at the racetrack itself. That was kind of the synopsis with the Happy Hour with Howden and why I wanted to bring that. And again, you could listen to the audio. You don't have to read it. A lot of people skim through articles. They don't want to read. They just want, even now you look at social media, they just want something on the graphic that tells you what happened and not read anything, Yeah. And so the audio thing was a great way. You click on it and you can hear and get direct info from either the competitor like Ron White or a team owner like Rodney Berryhill or the series promoter, Paul Zalud for Stars of Karting.
Early days.
And so that was the whole idea. I mean, and now you see podcasts just for anything and everything. We're still doing all of ours. And that was kind of the synopsis of it. And it was crazy to try and do that. I didn't have any audio, video, whatever kind of experience whatsoever.
No way.
So it was kind of learning on the flow and we did it. We still have those audios, though. We've played them on the radio here and there. They're actually available on our anywhere you get our podcasts. So if you want to search up Happy Hour with Howden, you'll get those.
I remember where we did them too. The Super NAS 2005, we literally did it on the front straightaway at Sam Boyd Stadium with a big table, right?
I think Alan Rudolph designed that racetrack maybe, or it might have been the year after, because the first one in 2005, that was still Joe Janowski running the Supercarts USA at the time.
I think you're right.
So I'm not sure if it might have been just me, you, Tim Blaney, and somebody else.
I think Ron White was on it again.
But we've had Ron White on the show multiple times for sure. Yep. But yeah, we've done it a couple times on that straightaway. I know 2005, 2006 for sure, because I wasn't at 2007 because my son was born. So So, but yeah, we've done it there.
Hotel lobbies.
So yeah, let's look at all the different locations. So Howden Media Group headquarters. I'll pull this one up because it's part of my memories.
Me and Ventresca.
That is in your old house basement.
Yeah,
that's Tony. Yeah, Tony Ventresca with First Kart North America. Now kind of working, I think, a little bit still with Racing Edge Motorsports up there in Canada.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did that a few times. I actually went back and listened to a lot of the old shows, or at least glimpses of it.
Those were gin and tonics, by the way.
Yes, and you flew me there a bunch of times to do some shows, which was great. So we used the KMI banners that you would have to use as a backdrop. You still see the Lexicon machine plugging away there.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that was kind of the the start of that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get back to my graphic here. So, so those were I should say Howden Communications Inc. at the time, or it might have been changed over to Howden Media Group by then.
I'm not sure if we're HCI or HMG at that point. You're right.
But yeah, I mean, we did the KMI Kart Expo in Chicago a couple times. But the majority on the track side, again, you got to have power. You got to have some internet. Luckily, hotels started having good internet.
Mm-hmm.
And we figured that was the best way to do it. So we did it in a bunch of hotel lobbies. We did it in Charlotte. I want to say somewhere in Sonoma we did one as well, but a bunch of hotel lobbies. RVs, when we did have the RV at the Supernats, we did some podcasts in there. Podium areas, I know Stars of Karting at Shawano, that was a good one. We had Brett Smurs, Michael Vinsek, they were on the show in Shawano there outside the Victory. We did one at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the Stars finale. That's our last time we did the happy hour with Howden, 2008.
Wow.
We actually got to go in their Victory Lane banquet room, where they had the Stars of Finale, Stars of Karting finale banquet in there. And so we did one right after the banquet was over. Mm-hmm. So again, we've had probably 50 to 100 different guests on those shows. Lots of different things said and done on them, talking about the sport, talking about different drivers. Paul
Zalin, as we said, Mabel Gidley was with us, Scott Speed, Colin Fleming. I remember Speed, I think, Gidley was, I think, at the KMI show. Obviously Tim Blaney and Jeff Deskins, two of our family members with HCI and Ski and ECAN. Tom Kutcher obviously came on board when he bought Supercarts USA. Let's touch on your nickname though, David. Through all the happy hour with Howden's, you were the ass behind the glass.
Yeah. So there were. Because I was the producer, I hated talking. Like that was a thing, Rob. Right? If you go back and you listen to the first happy hours, I was a man of very few words. I didn't talk. I wasn't very comfortable.
I know, David. I
still have the stuttering problem. We talk about it in all our podcasts. I can't say names. It's part of it. So it's kind of why I didn't really talk. So I was just kind of the guy making sure the volume levels are good, everything was going well. And the local radio station, the producer for the sports show, was the ass behind the glass, because typically you have your talent behind the glass and the producer on the other side. So, I mean, hey, Bridgestone paid money for us to do it too.
We had some Bridgestone sponsorship at one time. You're right. Yeah, we did. That's good stuff for sure, man. That's the happy hour with Howden. Good to have it back. We have to do more of this. This is a lot of fun, having a cocktail while we're doing this. This is good stuff for sure.
Well, wintertime will be easier because our schedules will be a little bit tamer.
That's true. That's very true. Let's go into the evolution of our coverage as well, because I want to kind of go back into the EK and Trackside Live thing. This whole thing about doing the podcast, David, getting the internet, starting to roll through. In the late 2000s is when we kind of decided, hey, listen, there's an opportunity for us to start streaming the play-by-play. Nobody was doing this. One of the guys that's going to join us later on here on the show has taken this obviously to the next level. I'm talking about Xander Clemens, ladies and gentlemen, Kart Chaser. He's going to come and join us here a bit because we had him with us early on as a 17-year-old young guy announcing down in Daytona. And then eventually we had him at the Supernats, I think in 2006, might have been later that year, I think. We had him. I brought him on board with me with the Supernats. He was a young announcer.
Well, he was the official voice for WK for a couple of years, and that's the correlation. We were doing their Trackside Live broadcasts. He was the announcer. That was our correlation between him and us.
So the Trackside Live thing, that was the other thing, was we went from just doing the podcast to, hey, listen, we have the equipment. We think we can do this. We can connect. We're going to stream the live commentary from the racetrack, and nobody was doing it at that point. That was another big thing that moved us forward.
Yeah, I wish I didn't really have time to kind of search and look for any of this stuff. But yeah, it was a couple months of us researching this, because the biggest problem we had, again, when we talked about just getting connected to the internet, to the website, was internet. And that was really the hardest part about doing our live stuff. And I wish, we had all these different ways of doing it, different ideas. And I don't even know where we were streaming it on. I'm trying to remember what it was called.
I can't remember either.
I just didn't quite have enough time to do the research on that. But Super Nationals 2009, that was our first live broadcast that we did. And it was a special one for sure, Rob.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Supernats with Michael Schumacher.
Yeah. I mean, that's all you have to say. It was Michael Schumacher.
Michael Schumacher's coming to the Supernats. Everybody's stoked. We're, of course, going to do a live broadcast at the Supernats. We got to get internet. So there's Michael right there. Oh, yeah. Chris Ortenberger there as well.
Same hair. Same hair.
Exactly the same hair. Looks fantastic. So with Schumacher showing up, we've got to do this. Now, again, David said one of our big hurdles was always trying to find where we could access internet.
Yeah.
At the Rio. Now, I'll talk to Kutcher, and we'll get the Rio to run a T1 line out.
Now, if you look at this picture, you see the Rio in the background. This is kind of the grid area. There's right behind Chris's head, you'll see the O for Oakley. That was an Oakley trailer.
That's true.
That is where we broadcasted from. Now you're thinking, okay, great vantage point. Sure. But look how far away it is from the Rio. And that was kind of our issue, was getting internet. And so that was the problem. We were looking to get a hard line, some kind of hard line to our computer.
T1 hard line.
Something so we could stream this out.
Yeah.
I don't know the number they told you. Oh,
$17,000.
$17,000 to stream to get probably 3 days.
Get the line out there for 3 days.
Yeah.
So I'm panicking. We have to do the eKan Trackside Live. We have to have this. We have to stream the play-by-play. We have to figure it out. So I ended up ordering essentially an emergency disaster internet satellite that they shipped in, dropped off in a pallet. And we opened it up like it was like the moon thing, or the thing on Mars and the Martian, where this full satellite had to open up. We had to put stuff around it, like cones around it, to not go near it. But I think that cost me almost $3,000.
Yeah, I want to say. I mean, it was a lot cheaper than running the T1 line, it was great.
It wasn't part of the budget, though.
It worked. We had probably tens of thousands of people listening. It was phenomenal. Again, Michael Schumacher, the world's biggest motorsport star in the world, was racing in Las Vegas in a karting event. And it was, just that alone was big enough news. And then be able to provide that audio. The only regret I do have is I didn't record.
You didn't record it. Yeah, I know.
That week, because again, I'm not an audio guy. I wish I would have went to school for this. I would have recorded. I would have kept a lot more photos. We would have taken a lot more photos, because again, you don't think about that. And that's kind of the one regret I have up until probably 2010 or 2011, is not taking enough photos, or not recording or remembering all of this stuff. Because again, I didn't realize I was going to be the encyclopedia for the last 5 years of sport.
Indeed.
So that was kind of that was kind of one biggest major regret. So I will say that for anybody doing anything, obviously it's a little different now, where people take pictures of anything and everything.
Everything's chronicled.
That just wasn't how you grew up. Like, again, we're old school, Rob. We were, you started journalism, you were doing film.
Yeah.
Like, talk about those early, like that was.
Yeah. When I did the first magazine, I was shooting probably 15 rolls of film every weekend, hoping I could get enough photos that were correct. And I had to scan every photo in as well.
And now we just rapid fire everything, and we'll figure out, okay, this one's going to work. But yeah, it was just so different. And so that's the one biggest regret I have. But again, we were able to do that live broadcast for the Super Nationals. And we're like, this could be something we can continue to do.
Love it. Let's just want to bring a little from one of our buddies here, Cody Schindel. Congrats on 25 years. Love sharing the track and stories with you guys. There aren't many guys like us that truly share the passion for the sport. And again, eKan's been around for 25 years. Canadian Karting News as well with Cody. He's really he's become the eKan of Canada, obviously.
And he was eKartingNews.ca, because there was a Canadian version of our website at one time.
Well, listen, there was also eFormulaCarNews.com, and I know Glenn obviously saw this. We essentially copied and pasted the website a couple of times to hit other areas. And there was also IndoorKartingNews.com. We're gonna have Mike Smith come on a little bit later.
You know what? I didn't even think of that connection. The Mike Smith thing. I totally forgot about.
We'll talk about that later. We'll bring Mike on a little bit later. But listen, talking about what we did in terms of the evolution of our coverage, David, we brought things to another level in terms of play-by-play. People be at home being able to listen to the broadcast. So people would tell me a lot like it was like the old school days of listening to the baseball on the radio, listening to the Indy 500 on the radio. In Canada, listen to hockey on the radio, obviously. That's what we were doing, right? It was new. We were bringing the actual call from races to people that couldn't be there. It's a lot different right now. These days, for sure.
And we started with just recording it, because if you recall, I think it was 2005 or 2006, we actually put a handheld recorder with your microphone, and we recorded the Super Pro main event. And then we put that audio call on the website. If you remember back in 2006, when we went to the Formula BMW World Finals, where let's see, we got to meet Alexander Zanardi, got to meet Rodney Peete, got to meet, Kanye West's mom, Marcus Allen, I believe, was the other investor in that company or that charity as well too.
Yep.
But we gave you a handheld recorder, and you recorded it, called it like you were calling the PA. You weren't on the PA, but you were able to talk about the North American drivers that were there racing. I believe Robbie Wickens was one of the drivers.
Ryan
Finney was another North American. Frankie Munoz.
Yeah, he was there.
Malcolm in the middle. Mm-hmm. So it was. Yeah. So again, the whole idea was to try and bring what's happening trackside as close to you as possible, and the audio again. And I'll say it forever and ever. You're one of the best play-by-play person in all of karting ever, and always will be. It's just what you call and say brings people right there with the men. You said the Indy 500 on the radio. That was my favorite part, was listening to the radio as a kid outside. And then when the wreck happened, we'd run inside to see it. But, just listening, there's a different way of calling a race when it's just audio, and it's so unique. It's captivating. And that's what you brought to our sport for the last 30 some years. So you are old, but
I am good. So listen, when we threw it here to do this, I think he's literally actually leaving his chair right now. He's in the studio waiting. I was going to bring him in. We'll wait.
That's here for we got more to go over real quick.
Go. Where do you want to go next?
Well, the podcast, we talk about, so we did the live stream. We were doing live stuff that was going well, but we needed to take it to another level. Okay. Well, how do we give more people more information and more, content and the idea of doing a podcast that was
thrashed on, by the way. Tony jumped thrashing on you.
Yeah. Well, he's old too.
Yeah. You are.
So the idea of podcasts, again, we'd done it for the longest, for 2005 to 2008. We dropped it because it wasn't easy to get it to people. That was the hardest part.
That was the biggest
time.
Yeah.
You had to go to our website. You had to click on it, and that was the only way you could listen to it.
Save it up to the FTP site.
Exactly. And so we finally.
Hold on, Dave. Let's
see that. Yeah.
Let's bring her in. There she is, right there, Rhonda Mims Brown. Thank you so much, Rhonda. Happy 25, and congratulations. You've both done a wonderful job taking the reign. Big part of the early days.
Yeah.
Rhonda Mims Brown, again, legend racing
and karting in general too. Again, she was a big part of IKF for the longest time. They were helping out with the awards programs that they did later on, and so major
Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Podcasts. Yeah, they just readily available with the way this podcast platform started coming out. And so we were like, okay, we got to dive into this. And that in 2017 is when we first started doing podcasts. We started with Debrief. We had a couple other shows as well too. We did a little bit of happy hour with Howden's, but those were kind of more like a Friday deal, including Challenge of the Americas, where we would actually call the happy hour session. It was the last practice session. So we evolved with that. And then when we did all these podcasts, we're like, well, if you don't want to download it, how can you just sit and listen to podcasts? We found this radio program to be able to establish the eKan Radio Network. Yeah. And so a year after that, in January 2018, that's when we launched the eKan Radio Network. And we're still going 24 hours, 7 days a week. You can just load it up and play karting content all you want.
All day long. Yeah, we love it. I love the fact that you do all the rewinds. You take the old broadcasts, the old play-by-plays, throw them up there as well. Obviously super cool for sure on that. And again, before we dive into the next quick bit and bring out another guest, one of the things that keeps evolving, again, that's the thing about eKan. The 25 years has been a lot about evolution. The early days, of course, then we picked it up and got rolling. But the evolution, as we all know, technology is going to develop exponentially. COVID, we found ourselves at home. What are we going to do? People are dying for karting content. They were asking us. We were doing IG Live, Facebook, and then we eventually, David, we really rolled into the YouTube program, right? It really started with the YouTube stuff, primarily because of COVID.
Well, it first started, if you recall, doing the Instagram Live.
Yeah, we started with IG Live. Yep.
So that was kind of the first jump at it. We saw all these people doing these live things. So we're like, okay, well, let's jump in. You did one with James Hinchcliffe, a couple other people too.
Yep.
The problem with that is we couldn't record it. We couldn't save it. We had no way of keeping up with it. So that led to, I don't know. I think we started with StreamYard. We might've started with something else.
We had another one too. I can't remember the name of the top of my head. Yeah, we had another one that didn't work as well.
Yeah. And so we tried to find a software program online based that would work and be able to kind of connect you from Canada and me in Michigan and be able to do what we're doing right now and to be able to talk and then bring people in and talk to them about things. And obviously at that time with no racing going on, there was a lot of time to research that. And it didn't take long because by April of 2020, we had our first episode with Alan Rudolph streamed on Facebook and YouTube. And that was our first ever face-to-face show that we did. Now we just did our 90th episode yesterday. So again, not every week, but enough shows over the last 5 years to, again, provide people with a platform to talk about what they are promoting or what they're doing, or even talk about some of the performances. I know we've had Connor Zillage, our current NASCAR driver, on our face show after he had won the FIA Karting Academy Trophy Championship in 2020 during that the COVID season as well. So yeah,
Alfonso Ribeiro
was a guest. Will Power was a guest as well. Many different people. We just had Joseph Newgarden yesterday. Talking about the MG Tires 200 event that's happening at Newcastle Motorsports Park on October 3rd through the 5th. Make sure you are part of that race. But again, just I guess it's a combination of me and you, Rob, because I've thought of things, you've thought of things. We're just trying to continue to bring new and different things. Yeah, we like doing what we've done, but you kind of have to evolve with the way things are changing in media and in journalism.
We pause this show for a quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. From Florida to California to Las Vegas, it's time to rock. The 2025 season for rockers begins in the Sunshine State as Rock Cup USA hosts the 27th edition of the Florida Winter Tour. The championship is underway, having welcomed competitors to the Orlando Kart Center over the January 17 to 19 weekend for round one of the title chase. Rockers return to the Orlando, Florida facility for round two of the championship on the February 14 to 16 weekend. For the first time in series history, the Florida Winter Tour will host an event outside the state, expanding its reach into Texas. The March 21 to 23 weekend is the date for the series finale at the popular Speed Sports Racing Park in New Caney, Texas. Be part of history as the Florida Winter Tour goes to the Lone Star State. Looking ahead, mark down the year-end celebration with the annual Rock Vegas event, set for October 29th to November 2nd at the Rio All Suite Hotel and Casino. Visit rockcupusa.com for all the details and information surrounding the Florida Winter Tour, Rock Vegas, and more. Wins at the sport's biggest races, as well as championships across all levels of karting, pack the resume for Nitro Kart. The Nitro Kart brand has made its statement as the best, fastest, and most reliable cadet chassis on the North American karting market. If you want to win in cadet, both in 2-cycle and 4-cycle competition, get a Nitro Kart and join the team. Team Nitro Kart will be at all major events, trackside with Ryan Perry Motorsport, the official race team. Owner Ryan Perry and his RPM operation carries the full selection of Nitro Kart chassis and parts, while also providing the same driver development focus as Nitro Kart owner Nick Tucker. You can also join the Team Nitro Kart race team at all major 4-cycle races this season. Led by longtime Nitro Kart tuner Cody Johnson, Team Nitro Kart will be at all the major Cup Karts North America events with arrive and drive opportunities available for all ages. Nitro Motorsports is a true karts-to-karts driver development program that is already gaining success after launching in 2022. Victories and championships in the Trans Am Series has highlighted the team's start, along with the success in the new GR Cup by Toyota. Current and former karters can take advantage of this unique ladder system with Nitro Kart and Nitro Motorsports. Visit Nitro Kart online and find them on social media. Nitro Kart, race one or chase one.
Welcome to AIM Sports and the groundbreaking Micron 6 karting data logger. Since its inception, AIM Sports has been at the forefront of motorsport technology, revolutionizing how racers gather data. From its early days, AIM has tailored its innovations to provide precise insights, allowing racers to fine-tune their strategies and push their limits. Fast forward to today, and we're excited to celebrate 30 years of Micron by introducing the latest evolution in karting data loggers, the Micron 6. Designed with cutting-edge features, including 25Hz GPS with mil-spec precision, a 6-axis inertial platform, shift lights and alarms, temperature inputs, and a host of wired and wireless expansions. With 2 CAN buses, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi, it's perfect for karting enthusiasts looking to enhance their game on the track. With its advanced suite of sensors, high-speed data acquisition, and easy-to-use interface, the Micron 6 delivers unparalleled performance on track. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, this powerful tool helps you analyze every turn, every lap, even every heartbeat. Imagine a tool that not only records your lap times, but also analyzes parameters like speed, tire temperature, driver inputs, and engine performance. With the Micron 6, you'll gain insights that can shave seconds off your times and elevate your skills behind the wheel. Don't just drive, be data-driven. Join the AIM Sports community today and equip yourself with the Micron 6 to take your karting experience to the next level. Visit aimsports.com to learn more. AIM Sports, 30 years of Micron.
Thank you for listening to the EKN Radio Network. We now join the show already in progress. If anybody wants to come on here, has some thoughts about eKartingNews, wants to tell a story about the website or how it's been part of your journey, feel free to either DM us on the EKN channels or drop us an email at newsdesk@eKartingNews.com. If David sees that, we can send you over the link and bring you on. We do have a couple of people that are waiting in the waiting room right now. I mentioned this guy, again, we talked about the fact that we pushed things with the EKN Trackside Live, our live streaming audio of all the races. Well, obviously things are a lot different right now because Kart Chaser and Xander Clemens have really stepped things up. Xander messaged me when we were doing this, and we talked about, hey, listen, does anybody want to come on? He said, I would love to come on and talk to you guys about eKartingNews. We had him on. Again, he was one of the voices of the EKN Radio Network as the announcer for the WK Manufacturers Cup. And we had the Supernats. Let's bring Xander Clemens in, a guy leading the charge right now for karting coverage. Xander, first off, congratulations on everything you guys are doing with Kart Chaser right now. It's absolutely unbelievable. It's just put the edges of coverage for the sport. But man, it's fun to think back when you were some little 17-year-old guy announcing races at Daytona.
Yeah, man. I think I've told that story a couple of times of like that weekend and how big that weekend was and pivotal was for me looking back, right? That weekend, Eric Jones realized that I could talk because I used to go and hang out with my buddy Gresham Wagner in his tent all the time. And I was such a nervous kid that even at 13, 14 years old, I'd idolized so many people and was afraid to talk to a lot of adults at the time. And that weekend turned into what eventually led to going down to move to Miami and work for him full time down at AMR Motorplex for 3 years while I finished college. And obviously that weekend was the first time I met you. I remember that on Thursday and that weekend in general, right? Like I had a lot of people that I was meeting for the first time, but just like any good announcer, wanting to make a good impression, had done homework on homework, a lot of EKN articles, to be quite honest, of races to know who had won what and what their background was. And I remember I'd known Brandon Jarskrak for a little bit and his dad, Eddie, from racing with them over the last couple of years. But Brandon was like, dude, like, stuff that I've won that I've forgotten about. And a lot of people that weekend were like, dude, who is this guy? One. And then two, how does he know me? How does he know what I've done or whatnot? And I totally threw my voice out. Just so excited. The days were long.
You were
it
on
was
hardcore.
so bad by the end of the weekend, right? It was like I remember you were like, hey, listen, like not every race needs to be at a 10 and not every lap of every race needs to be at a 10. But I
think my quote was, the heat races don't need to be like the last 2 laps of the World of Outlaws main event.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Well, Xander, now that you're basically 10 years doing announcing, do you think that's the biggest advice giving to somebody who wants to be an announcer is do the research, get to know who these competitors are that you're going to be announcing?
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny you mentioned that, right? Literally, we had 2 different meetings today with some of my crew on various different things. We've been trying to incorporate more and more now that we've got a couple of years of archives of video footage, as flashback moments during the race. And that, as you guys mentioned with the evolution, you have to keep going and you have to find ways to keep getting better and better and keep that going and not drop down a peg when you bring someone new into the fold. So, as we expand, as we do more races, as people move on, right, no different than the story of eKan or any racing business or any karting business, that level has to keep going up. So these people that are coming in now, it's honestly not much different than like the superhero movie fatigue. They've got so much footage that they need to go back on between the eKan articles, the eKan audio rewinds, and then all of our stuff as well, especially because if there are followers now that have been watching some of these streams, they'll know if there was a big moment that someone got wrong when they're relaying on commentary. So for sure, the number one first thing of advice that I give to any of our commentators that we bring in and to anyone wanting to be an announcer is you can get so much further ahead of the game off the rip if you do the homework going in. You can learn a lot walking around the pits and getting to know people and getting stories. And that's a part of it. That's like, to me, like step 2, telling everyone at the end of the day, all right, I know you're tired that you just got done talking for 8 hours or just flew in or whatever, but also go make a lap and make sure you talk to everyone that you can. But yeah, I got lucky because I was, I've always had a really good memory. So the worst part is I'm not the best example of actually like making a lot of notes. But that was honestly just because I was so passionate, wanted to be at the track so much that I was just consuming everything for years before I ever got the first big nod to get to announce. It's such a difference.
And Xander, my thing was in my day, because I would announce the race and then go home and write an article about it. So I've written all that stuff is in my hard drive. Now, when you get older, you'll find out it gets full.
Yep.
We don't have any external hard drives for the memory. So I think I remember more from 1998 to 2007 than I probably do for the last 5 years. But again, same thing. When you have a passion for it, it just goes into your mindset, and you love telling the stories, and you tell them in your head, and it just keeps going into the memory bank. 100%.
What were some of if you remember back to the WKA days that we were working together, or even the first Daytona race, or even I'll bring the photo up right now, the first Super Nats that you got to announce. There's
look at that guy,
the young Xander. But talk about like some of the memories you have from some of those early years of being an announcer.
Oh yeah. Man, I'll never forget from the Daytona. I don't know, it's funny, right, Rob, as you mentioned, like your hard drive, right? You start to realize that your brain has just kind of forgotten memories when they're not as fresh, but there's certain ones that stick. Yeah. One of those Daytona ones that stuck, the Allmendinger race that year. There was 2 Allmendinger memories that were really funny to think back on. There was a couple specifically overall from that weekend that were funny, but 2 involving him. One was that him and Lemke destroyed each other in the pre-final on one of the days and turned 3 on the first lap. And Rob next to me, right? Because DC, you were over with your dad, is doing road racing at Daytona. So it's Rob working the switches and running the audio stream and the PA and me announcing. And both of us are like in the full announcer, like, oh my God, what is happening? And then once that adrenaline wears off of it happened, Rob's like, all right, AJ, come on, dude. He's 15. Take it, cool down. It's a heat race. Yeah. But the second funny Allmendinger memory that was more involving me was podiums. And he ended up podiuming. I think he got back up to 5th in the final or maybe 4th. And as I call him across, he like the one thing he smiles and he goes, your voice does not match your body, and then goes up onto the podium. I mean,
so true.
I'm a pretty slim guy. I've actually, I work pretty hard and have for the last couple of years just to put on the weight that I have. At that time, I was probably 145 pounds, like 5'11", 6 foot, like soaking wet. So I was really, really slim and young. And I think I had my braces on still when I was announcing that first year. I didn't get my braces off till I was almost 18. So brace face, super skinny kid announcing in a hidden trailer that nobody, knew. And so there was like plenty of looky-loos, Rob, over that weekend that would stick their head in and go, who the hell is this?
Well, first let me say this. I exactly the same thing. I'm coming down. I got all the equipment. I think you were already announcing practice or something. And I come in the trailer. I'm like, there's no way this kid has that voice right now. It's just hilarious. But yeah, there was everybody. Well, and listen, they were coming in to give you kudos as well. All the information you were able to roll out, the sound of your voice, obviously a very polished even early on, but all the information you had. And a lot of people were sticking their heads in and saying, man, dude, you're fantastic. This is great. And I knew then that you'd have a long career that first time I worked with you. No doubt.
And a lot of people don't know too that, technically it's been 10 years, almost 10 years to the day of that, right? That'd be 10 years in December. Yeah. I had been doing club racing announcing since my first ever club race when I was 13, freshly 13, a couple of years ago at Barnesville, and was doing that. And that led to a Gold Cup race that eventually led me to the Daytona opportunity and then on. But even before that, when I was 8-9 years old making stop motion animation videos with diecast cars on YouTube, I was commentating those. And there's a couple old videos. I should have sent you guys the link of it because I show it to my guys. I'm like, this is really when I first started. And so when you guys get in, you got to understand that like at this point now for more than 2/3 of my life, I've been doing it. So, I don't expect you on weekend one to have the hard drive, for two, have the reps that just, it comes so natural. And then at 11 years old, I was organizing a sim racing league and ran that till I was 15 and was streaming that and officiating that. And there's some funny moments when I go back and look at those clips because we were running it on NR 2003, which is the predecessor to iRacing. So it had single file restarts. We wanted to do double file restarts. This is like 2011, 2012, 2010. So you'd get black flags if you nose ahead of a guy when you're both doubled up. So there's one clip of me at 11 years old streaming this race on Twitch. And I pause announcing for a second, and then you see the chat window pop up because I'm clearing black flags because I'm the admin of the sim racing session. Type it in. You can see in all caps, all right, guys, last green, white checkered, stop wrecking. And then the chat goes away. And then I go back to announcing the race and running the stream. So I had been doing digital streaming for, since I was way younger and announcing too. And then, that weekend was funny. And then, the Super Nats, right? It was every other weekend I saw you that year, Rob, because I still was racing a couple races or would be seeing DC. I'm like, man, I would just please, I'll sleep on the floor, just let me tag along. And I went there and was like, if nothing else, I'll hang out with my buddies. And this is one thing that, I wouldn't encourage anyone to do, but Rob, you were gracious enough to do, right? We had talked about it, but nothing was set in stone. And I was like, hey, I'm here.
You just showed up.
Yep. And you were like, yeah, you know what? I'll give you a jacket and some shirts and here you go, sure. And that was super cool of you. And I've had a bunch of really big breaks, not necessarily exactly like that, but people went out of their way to, give me a chance and be nice. And I really, for one, appreciate that opportunity because that was so cool to get to call, some of the action from that year and learn to work alongside you and just to get the breaks, right? You both outlined it in your guys' paths, earlier in the show of just the graciousness and the community of karting and motorsports in general. No one gets anywhere without just an immense support system and a ton of help.
Well, again, out of the gate, you did such a great job. I do want to say this. This is interesting. You talked about the fact when you were 10 or 11, when you were doing your first kind of, practice announcing. This is the next gen. These are the difference in generations. David, this is what I did. This is what I announced onto. Yeah. A cassette. I remember I had a cassette recorder and I would fake, I would do mock stock car races of guys I knew. When I was supposed to be asleep into my tape recorder. So there you go. A little different generations, Andrew. But listen, we're super proud of you. You've done a fantastic job. It's always a pleasure for me when I get a chance to come into your booth and be part of the Car Chaser coverage. We'll do it again this year for the Super Nationals. I'm excited about that. Hopefully more races next year if things all work out well. But listen, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. And listen, kudos to you. And thanks for the kind words on eKartingNews, man.
And of course. And I have one more story that I want to add because it just adds on, right, to what DC said earlier. So he's right, for everyone watching, right? For all of those events that I was on the EKN coverage for, I was contracted for the series, except for one. And double entendre here, irony, I was robbed of the opportunity to work for EKN because the pandemic weekend in NOLA, I was supposed to be your sub, right? And I was directly working for you guys that weekend.
Right.
And then managed to get about noon on Friday, we got the announcement about IndyCar St. Pete getting canceled, and you're going, okay, well, I guess I'm coming to NOLA. You know, Xander, I guess I'll be with you guys over there, or we'll sort it out. And then about 2 hours later, right as DC has fired up the EKN Trackside Live coverage, we're about to go green with happy hour. Right before my first second of, I think we might have gone on the air for a minute, and we're like, all right, we're about to go green, and then they didn't roll. And then we're like, okay, DC's like, yeah, let's do an ad break. And then about 15 minutes later, yep, we're canceled too. And then that night, I spent running around, avoiding DC from about 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. on Bourbon Street because I didn't want to leave because I was having such a good time. And he's going, kid, we got to go to the freaking airport, dude. Like, where? I'd go to one bar, then go to another bar. And
now, I will say, yeah, I was a little upset, but it was also being like that uncle trying to watch out after his nephew kind of thing where I didn't know what kind of trouble you were getting into. But yes, we did have to get to the airport early because, again, we're like, okay, it's Friday night. We go to the pizza place. I do have the photo of us at the pizza place there.
Yep.
And then it was Moe's, Rob. You know Moe's.
Moe's,
and then we were like, what else are we going to do? Well, let's go to Bourbon Street. So we go there, and you meet up with like Brendan Baker and all the young drivers that are down there. I'm hanging out with Skitchy and Crockett, Bill Lemke, and a bunch of others. And so it gets to be about 2, 3 o'clock. I'm like, man, we want to get to the airport at 7 because none of us have flights booked. We're all we just figured, okay, we'll go to the airport in the morning. We'll try and book some flights. And so I'm thinking, I got to get there early because who knows how long it's going to be, because who knows what the travel is going to be, or if we're going to even be able to get allowed out of there too. That was the other thing too. But yeah, that was a fun night.
Xander didn't want to give up on the evening.
Hey, we've all been there. Yes, we've all been there. I had to be the responsible one. I'm sure now in his role, he's had to be the responsible one for a lot of his employees.
Yeah. It's funny how I'm paid for a couple of those nights with DC.
We all do, man, but they're all fun and all great memories. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I remember us working together that first year in WK. Cause again, I only kind of met you at Daytona. We didn't really get to know you, but you said it. You were that shy little kid that I was like, where do you want to go eat? I don't know. And you just like, you definitely have grown up massively since then. But again, you were kind of just feeling everything out, and that's kind of how, relationships work out. It was great fun hanging out, working with you then. Still fun and cool hanging out with you now, even though we're kind of on opposite ends now of the racetrack, because you're now in your RV locked away, and I'm still running around. But yeah, it's been great. It's been crazy how 10 years have gone by that quick.
Yeah. And I think the symbiotic relationship we have between Kart Chaser and eKarting is just so great. We work with you guys together. We're trackside together. Everything you guys are doing is fantastic, Xander. But again, congrats. Great to have you on board early on in the early days of the eKarting Radio Network and our trackside live coverage. And thanks for taking the time to come in tonight. We appreciate it.
Of course. Happy to tip the cap to both of you guys, man. Congrats on 25.
Thanks, buddy. Xander Clemens, ladies and gentlemen, leading the way with Kart Chaser right now. All that coverage they have from so many races around the country. And again, obviously, really pushing the envelope on what you can do with what they have in terms of karting coverage. We pause this show for a quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. "2025 is shaping up to be another historic season for Superkarts USA. A record-setting turnout competed at the 8th year of the Superkarts USA Winter Series, including the largest non-Super Nationals event ever for the organization in January. Champions were crowned at the February event, setting the stage for the transition to the SCUSA Pro Tour. This year's Pro Tour is set to visit 3 different states from March to July. SCUSA made its Pro Tour debut in the Lone Star State with the Winter Nationals, held in March at the Speed Sports Racing Park in New Caney, Texas. The Spring Nationals is returning to the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati in Batavia, Ohio over the Memorial Day weekend May 23rd to 25th. For the 11th time, Newcastle Motorsports Park hosts the SCUSA Summer Nationals. This year's champions will be crowned over the July 25 to 27 weekend in Newcastle, Indiana. Regional action is heating up for 2025 with the flagship Pro Kart Challenge program hosting 5 race weekends at 3 spectacular facilities, including the new K1 circuit in SoCal, Spring Mountain Karting in Nevada, and a highlighted return to Sonoma Raceway. The Texas Sprint Racing Series is offering 5 rounds of racing in 2025, visiting 5 challenging circuits from February to October. Growth continues for Superkarts USA in Mexico as well, with record numbers for their SCUSA Pro Tour Mexico and the Pro Kart Challenge Mexico Series. Set your calendar for November 12th to 16th for the Superkarts USA Super Nationals 28 as the event returns to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for a 3rd straight year. Be part of the largest karting event in North America. For information on all this and more, visit superkartsusa.com. Established in 1999, PSL Karting has become a powerhouse within the karting industry for North America and around the world. PSL Karting is your complete source for all Burrell Art products as the North American importer, providing this top quality product through both their expansive dealer network or through the PSLKarting.com online store. Whatever you need is available 24/7 online, including safety gear, parts, components, and full karting packages. All 3 brands, Burrell Art, Ricardo Kart, and Charles Leclerc Karts, are in stock and ready to hit the track. Grab your winning chassis for any category by visiting PSLKarting.com to find your nearest dealer. PSL Karting is always looking for interest in new dealers and teams to help create new business relationships. Drivers looking to take their talent to the next level can join the Burrell Art North America race team, competing at all the major US and Canadian events this season. When you're ready to win, go with PSL Karting. History, success, family. Those are the 3 words that can describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation located just outside of Indianapolis has provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers in the near 6 decades of business. Their online store features everything you need, continually adding new parts to their product line. From full karting packages, new engines, spare or replacement parts, and safety gear, find it all at CometKartSales.com. Their Comet Racing Engine service has won multiple major events and championships over decades of karting and continues to offer the best trackside service in the industry, specializing in IAME X30, IAME Swift, and other 2-cycle power plants. Make sure to head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be part of the Comet Kart Sales family today. Thank you for listening to the EKN Radio Network. We now join the show already in progress. David, where are we right now? I think we got one more guy in the hopper.
Yeah, I'm trying to find his photo. I thought I had it, but man, it sucks. But
don't have the photo
we can just have him on the show.
Let's bring him on.
I mean, he's beautiful as he is right now.
So here's the thing, folks. We talked about the different iterations of eKartingNews.com. We had the website. Then we turned it into eFormulaCarNews.com. And I'll give a shout out to my man, Al Craighead, who worked for Formula Car Magazine and then ran eFormula Car News. And we moved that over to the internet platform as well. Sadly, Al passed away in 2015 after a valiant battle with cancer, but we shut it down after that. But we also had IndoorKartingNews.com, and it all kind of happened with some connections. I was online, I was talking to people, and I went to a couple indoor kart races, and we ended up doing a bunch of years with indoor karting. Now, that's not going to be the focus. This is eKartingNews.com, but let's bring Mike Smith in right now, a guy I kind of met through the indoor and outdoor karting worlds. Let's bring Mike into the show here right now. Mike, how are you? And he's got an EKN shirt.
How could I not? How are you? I tell you guys, this is pretty cool to hang out with y'all. 25 years, pretty sweet.
Let's give me your early thoughts. You were racing up in the Pacific Northwest. When did you first we'll get into the stuff we've done together. When was the first time you found eKartingNews.com?
Oof.
That's a hard one, isn't it?
I was trying to do some notes, to be honest with you. I was trying to do a little bit of work. I don't remember the very, very beginning, but I damn sure know it was the forums you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
We definitely had the forums thing was happening. And then I will say that I think the first time I met you, Rob, it wasn't like formal, it was informal. I think it was either 2000, I think it was 2008. I could be wrong. I could have this all backwards. I think it was 2008 Dromo 12-hour.
Yeah. So when I had eKartingNews.com, I remember I brought the RV over to the 12-hour.
And you were attempting to do a video live for periods of it. Yeah. And so that's I was watching it before then. I mean, for me, in the Northwest, we don't have IKF Region 7. We didn't have the big stuff going on over there. But we had Go Racing Magazine in the Sycar Indoor Racing Center lobby that I would pay attention to. I raced when I was a kid, but that's when I got back into it in my early 20s. That's kind of what got me hooked again. And then, as we talked about, the kids don't know, internet wasn't a thing, and then it became a thing, and then you start paying attention. Long story short, when we all start getting back into the racing stuff and paying attention, and there being an online presence, there was this for the indoor side. There was IKN, which was a leg off of eKartingNews, and it made arrive and drive karting legitimate, and we paid attention to that like you would anything else, and it was huge.
That was a cool thing. It was a thing I found indoor karting. I love it. I think it's a fantastic discipline. Then I realized there was all these leagues that were going on, and then I think I'd gone to Dromo and whatever it was. I said, listen, I've got this deal. Let's just play around and do indoorkartingnews.com. Let's put that together. I covered all the leagues. We did all, I think I had a ranking deal at one point. I went to the U.S. Indoor Karting Championships in Phoenix at F1 Race Academy. Watched you guys race there. I think I streamed play-by-play, if I'm not mistaken, from that as well.
You did. Yeah. And
the best part about it was they were charging me $1. It was $1 beers. So on the whole day, I just kept drinking $1 beers.
You're in.
It was perfect. I had the RV out for that one too. So we met there through Rob Niles and the Machismo 500, the endurance race they used to run. Right. They ran it at Las Vegas one year, and I said, let's put together an indoor karting news all-star team. And we had these runoffs of the different racetracks, and I ended up having 4 people that came and raced. You were one of them. One of them's racing Master Shifters right now, Justin Kelly. He was part of that as well. Who are the other 2 that were involved?
About to be a father too.
Gene Hoy. Gene Hoy from Florida. Fort Lauderdale.
Myself, Truman Godfrey.
And there was one other driver.
So
I
was
can't
this
remember.
2000? What year was this?
It's Mike Bednar.
Mike Bednar, who I've messaged with on Facebook.
Out of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and Truman Godfrey didn't show up. It was just the 4 of you guys and me.
Right.
I raced with you guys.
That's how we got the illustrious Rob Howden.
The illustrious Rob Howden came in for
an in and out.
We practiced all day or whatever, and you guys raced at night, and then we came back in. I woke up at like 2:00 in the morning or 3 in the morning.
Well, no, that's just it. It's like, I don't think people get it. Like, the Machismo endurance race happened at night. At that time at SuperNet.
12 hours.
So for those of you playing the at-home game, Rob Howden's got stuff to do.
It was amazing.
So you did the things, and then it's like, oh yeah, I think I might come back and try to drive a go-kart for a little while.
I went to bed, came down, came out, did a 1 hour stint or whatever, 45-minute stint, went back to bed, came down, and we won.
Yeah.
We ended up winning.
We didn't just win, mate. We killed.
We lapped the field. You guys were rock stars.
You did a thing, yeah. So but at the end of the day,
I got a good picture.
I'm looking for it right now. Yeah.
Oh man, I should ask the wife. She's definitely got it.
I got it somewhere around here. Yeah, it was awesome.
People don't get that the quote heyday of karting, I would say, was in the late 2000s to early 2010s and change, because we had not just competition karting that was killing it, but the ladder that was arrive and drive karting, or quote indoor karting, was rolling. And with IKN, with Indoor Karting News, you were put a spotlight on that.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of proper talent that came up through the ranks. And anyway, it gave a lot of opportunity to people like myself to do things that were, quote, too old to be doing things what they were doing. And man, it was awesome. And all of us that were a part of that the heyday of the endurance racing, of the individual championships all over the country, it was super cool.
So let's talk. Well, fast forward from that. Obviously, all that stuff happens. We developed this fantastic friendship, the three of us, and Becky, your wife, and being at the racetrack and everything that happens. And you were kind of asking me, hey, listen, if you ever need me for Supernats, let me know. And people that were like, so now with Xander's got a crew, right? He's got guys trackside. He's got 3 or 4 guys. You have people cycle in on the broadcast. Back in the day, David, and you'll know this, David will tell us, it was just me. I did the Supernats by myself every day, tried to kind of back off. My Super Sundays, my voice was normally just absolutely thrashed.
Well, that's a combination of
just
evening
just
activities,
just the dry
and the dry air.
There was one Super Nationals where I was so hungover on a Saturday morning I could hardly move.
And that was due to John Schaffner.
It was due to John Schaffner and the Become One video.
I'm not sure, Mike. Do you remember the Become One video? Do you remember seeing that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So John Schaffner was the producer of this film, and he was there at the Supernats filming and got a hold of Rob Howden with some bourbon, I believe.
No, 66 or a Crown Royal.
We
were talking about the voice that he wanted to have out of me, how he wanted me to sound. I'd never done a documentary before. We watched Truth in 24. We watched the MotoGP one with Brad Pitt. Truth in 24 was Jason Statham, and he was trying to tell me the sound he wanted me to get while we were drinking straight Crown Royal. So that was a really, really rough Saturday.
Did it set? Did you pick up on what he was trying to say?
Yeah. I think I did a pretty good job on that.
Go back. It should be on YouTube anyway.
It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. Where I was going with this is you kept asking me, hey, if you ever need me. I said one year, I'm like, listen, Mike, do you want to come and be my driver analyst? So you were racing at that point. You were doing a lot of racing at that point in Southern California. You'd run the Supernats already, I think yourself as well, maybe more than once. And I said, let's bring this guy in. I don't know how good he's going to be on the mic. And you and I'll say this before, I've worked with a lot of people. You and I connected immediately. From the very first time we connected, just the way I approach my race call, my commentary, and the way you were approaching you being a driver analyst. And I think we talked about it before. It just was supernatural from the very beginning.
Well, yeah. I mean, I remember telling you, if you ever need anybody, I would love to have the opportunity. And you gave it to me, and it was a dream come true. And it mainly because I feel like as commentators, at the end of the day, you just love what you do. Like, you love calling the race. Racing is this is it, and specifically karting. Yeah. And so, wait, I get to go hang out on the top of the tower and call racing all day? This is freaking sweet.
Right.
So I'm in. But to your point, I feel like the biggest thing for me was that I knew going into it that you were the voice. Like, it was karting as Supernats, and you are. That's a linked thing. That is what it is. I drive karts. I tune on things. I do driver coaching. I know some different stuff. If I can somehow throw in there a little bit of a 2 cents, sweet. And I was also very happily surprised that we just got along so well over the mic. We didn't try hard. We would literally be doing something, look over at each other, and there was no tap shoulders. There was no it was boom. There you go. And God dang, was it a lot of fun.
It was really smooth. We just had to make sure we got you out of those basketball shorts. Once we got that handled, pro'd you up a little bit.
Let me tell you how unprofessional I was. You literally were like, hey, I got to tell you, you did a great job. We really clicked. If you show up here again with those bloody shorts, not only are you not allowed here, I will find a way to not have you go around in karting. I feel it. That was the way it was.
And listen, dude, since
you helped me grow, buddy.
We worked together as the Supernats for a number of years since then, and we'll likely do it again this year. It's gonna be fun.
I'm stoked to to your point, do it again once. This is my 5th year now. I'll get a chance to do it because 2021 is the first time. It's actually the first Supernats. We were at Vegas And it was right after the pandemic. We had the flyovers for the first time. We had all kinds of neat stuff that was going on the backside of Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That was my first one, and with yourself, with Xander, we already had on there, gotten a chance to still be on top of the entire program. And man, for me, it really is a dream come true. If you can't race in it, you want to be a part of it, and to talk about the action, talk about the drivers, talk about all of those things, and to do it with people like yourself, Xander, etc., Henry Bodette, it's phenomenal.
You think about something again. You're part of a pretty good family. You look at some of the guys that have been part of our broadcast as well through different organizations. Eric Brennan, David being one right now. He's on his way up the ranks for the NASCAR commentary world, doing the ARCA series right now, right?
Yeah, kind of like Xander. He came into WK after Xander parted ways with them and was doing a lot of announcing for WK. And he did a Challenge in the Americas race as well too. And yeah, like to do the cars program and now all the ARCA stuff.
He's in ARCA, yeah.
And
that was great.
Probably going to be in Xfinity. I think he might have done one Xfinity
I think
already
he's
as well
next year.
too.
I heard
So
that,
again, yeah, and again, just a great voice. Does the homework. That was the one thing I first noticed of him was he was really, because again, he's not a karter. He's a stock car guy, and he came to do a kart race. He really wanted to know what was going on with everyone, who was who, and their background. And he would read our previews. He would look up. Obviously, now it's easier with the Google machine, and look up and see what drivers are doing and what they've done. And so, yeah, I mean, anytime he's on a broadcast, I'm listening. He does a great job, and I will second what Mike said and you said. The combination between you two was great. It's kind of like Maverick and Goose. I won't say who's who, but
I'm definitely Goose.
And nobody dies. Nobody dies.
No.
But again, you kind of knew exactly where everybody was, where the other one was going, and so it was great to see. Mike, I wanted to ask though, did you start the podcast after you announced at Supernats? I can't remember the timeline on that.
No, the Fullcaster podcast I think you're talking about is the start was in the spring of 2020.
Okay.
So yeah, it was after the fact. But actually, I saw Xander up there on the booth. I was at Supernats Racing in 2019.
Right.
And I saw Xander up there in the booth with Rob.
Right.
And I'm like, why not me? And so, to be fair, I reached out to Rob and I was like, I will do anything.
Almost anything.
Almost anything. He won't shave the beard, but he will.
Yeah, no.
He won't even let me grab the beard.
No touch.
I did it a couple times in Vegas. I thought I was going to get punched.
Yes, you were going to go away.
What stays in Vegas, right? That's what they say. We did the podcast prior to, but the podcast, you guys talked about it before. EKN, and going back to 25 years of EKN, you guys are shedding a spotlight on a sport that you guys, it's as bright a light as you possibly can put on it. But it's not, quote, mainstream for most of the, public, if you will. But you do everything you can to make everybody involved in it feel like they're a rock star, whether it's a driver, a tuner, a team, a fellow organization like Xander's Kart Chaser. Everybody is getting the love. And you're trying to make sure that karting as a whole, as an industry, is growing.
I think from the very beginning,
matter.
Mike, I'll say that from the very beginning, it was always for me, when I had started Shifter Kart Illustrated, it was to be the racer or the racer action on the motocross magazine of karting. And I think David, myself, we cover races at the same level, or any of our any article on eKarting, it's the same level as anything you're going to find on Racer or Autosport or whatever. David and I have been journalists for over 20 years. So the coverage that we give, we want it to be, even though karting is wherever it fits into the foundation or the world of motorsports, we want to make sure that the level of editorial and coverage is the same as you'd find for IndyCar, NASCAR, Formula One. That's exactly the same thing.
Well, because people want to read about themselves.
Yeah.
They want to read about their favorite driver, their favorite team. They want to see the coverage of the thing that they love. And at the end of the day, that's what you guys are providing. And I think we've seen over the years that look, without your guys' coverage, there wouldn't be, in my opinion, a Kart Chaser. we wouldn't be having this conversation. We wouldn't be seeing some of the growth, I think, because it wouldn't be. Would we see Drive to Survive? Will we see some of the different things in the way we do because of the way it is, or because there was from the ground up a spotlight on it, from a kid kart to a shifter and beyond? And I think that's where EKN, after 25 bloody years, is been there, and it's awesome.
Appreciate you saying that, Mike. Listen, one more guest waiting in the waiting room before we wrap this thing up. We're going to say goodbye to you, my friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Excited to get back on the booth with you at Supernats. And again, thanks for taking the time. Rock and roll, buddy. All right, David, let's press the big rewind button and go back to the very start of this thing to cap it all off, right? Going back to essentially, suck the gut in, pull this back a little bit, squish the wrinkles back. Talking about when we first started this entire program, one of the guys who was instrumental in it was, at that point, the guy who was my editor for Shifter Card Illustrated magazine. He'd been with me for a bunch of years. He, of course, was a contributor to EKN. Well, we had Ski. You came on board. It was the three of us at one point. Let's welcome in Tim Blaney, the former editor of Shifter Card Illustrated magazine. Tim, how are you, my friend?
Good. How you doing, boys?
Good. Look at this guy. He looks better than we do. He looks really good.
He's still got hair. We were joking about that.
Yep.
It's a little gray here, though.
Oh no, it's a lot gray. The winter beard got ditched about 3 or 4 years ago when I started growing it, and I realized I looked old. So.
Yeah, let's. I know it's way back for you. Obviously, you were with us till what, 2007? I think, was it 2006? Maybe
2006, 2007.
Yeah, you were the editor for Ski for about a year and a half, 2 years. You worked with me as the assistant editor for a bunch of years. I actually went back and read one of the columns, and I think it might have been the one I wrote in the last issue, where one of the most famous sayings we had in HMG world was what Tim said to me to get a job. I was so busy doing all the magazines and everything. He said, Rob, you got to start working you need to stop working in your business so you can work on your business.
On your business. Yeah. And that came out of a book I read from a previous job. And it stuck with me. And as our friendship developed, I watch you, and and every time, I'm so busy. I got this and do. It's like, dude, you don't have time to grow the advertising base. You don't have time to grow the subscriber base because you're busy going to, you go to races anyway, but you're, so busy writing articles and all that, I felt like I could, add a little something and take some things off your plate so you could grow your business.
And listen, you coming on board for those 2 years, I don't think that I would have been able to take on eKartingNews had it not been for that. And I wrote that in the column that year for the issue where you were done with us at that point and moved on to the next part of your career. If it wasn't for that, I don't know that I would have been able to take it on, right? Because you were doing that. You took so much off my plate. Of course, we brought David in. But I think that when the phone call came to me, I was in a place to say yes, as opposed to maybe saying, I don't know if it's the right thing.
Yeah, 100%. No, it's, because at that point, because as I recall, it was around Rock Island Grand Prix when I seem to recall, I think the deal was done, but it hadn't been announced yet.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I remember, a lot of people were kind of, looking around saying, why, Howden and Blaney, but, why is, what's Cole doing with them?
Who's that guy?
Yeah, for sure.
And, I distinctly remember a few people giving us kind of sideways glances trying to, and I reasonably certain they were able to put two and two together and know what was going on.
Do you remember? What do you remember? Again, where I was going with that, it's a long time ago, right? We're talking about 20 years ago from the time you were with us. For those couple of years that we had EKN. Do you remember anything from those first couple of years other than just the fact that we gave ourselves more work to do on the weekends?
It was fun.
Yeah.
The whole, and I look back on, the whole time I worked with you. It was a great time. As we said, we get to go to races for a living. That's right. It's pretty, David, get ready for the swear button. It's pretty bitching,
Yeah.
To be able to do that. But and it certainly did add, a lot more work to us because instead of just, going to the race, taking notes and then, going home and digesting things and writing the race report for the magazine.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we had to crank out a race report that night.
That's it. Right.
And I can't remember which race it was, but we left David, you and we left the track at like, I don't know, 11:30, and we were just gassed.
Yeah. We
got back to the hotel room and fell asleep. And the next morning, there's the email or the voicemail from Rob saying, "Hey guys, where's the report?" Like, all right, let's not let that happen again.
Yeah.
Well, then there was also that one year in 2006 when David and I went over. We drank all night long at the Super Nationals, then flew to Portugal the next day.
Yes.
You were. I don't think you were there. You were there.
No, that was 2000. That was my last Super Nationals.
That was your last Super Nationals.
Working with you, yeah.
Yes, we have a picture of me with the phone. I mean, with the alarm clock at 4:46 or something like that.
Yeah.
Coming back into the room.
Yeah, because what's his name from Shift was there too.
Brian Price.
Brian Price. Yeah.
Brian
So
Price.
Tim and Brian stayed in the room sleeping. Me and you went out,
We did.
even though we had 9 a.m. flight.
Yeah. Well, that was also because if I'm getting the years right, I believe the year before that, I was the knucklehead who rolled in an hour and a half before his flight.
Well, I will
David,
say
you and I both rolled.
That
in,
might have been a
but my
Spurs
flight
race,
was earlier.
actually.
2004, you introduced me to Las Vegas.
Yes.
And that was the night we rolled in, and Rob had no idea where we were, and then we rolled in. He goes, "We're leaving for an hour to the airport." Okay.
Yeah.
We showered up and we went home, and I remember your famous story of telling Alex, "Just let Daddy sleep."
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure we knew where we were. But yeah, no, I remember I got home and my child was very young at the time and still napping, and I got in the house and I was like, "Please, buddy, just give me a 2-hour nap."
Well, listen, Tim, I appreciate you taking the time to come and say hi. Obviously, we had some great
thanks
times
for having me, man.
in the early days, right? It was all brand new back then.
Yeah, it was good. Like I say, it was really, really good time.
I got
there
this
it
as our
is.
photo. Yeah.
There we go. Yep, that was the last one.
Yeah,
that was actually 2005.
Oh, was it?
So this
sure?
was this was 2005 on top of the RV. Sean Buer took this. This was, I think we were calling the last main event of the day. And so we got drinks in hand. So because remember we had that RV right next to the start finish line when Lorenzo Mandarino won.
Yeah.
And so we stood on top of the RV. It's like I even got my flip phone on my belt there.
You do.
Old school.
Yeah, old, very, very old school. So 2005 at the Super Nats when Mandarino won.
There you go. Perfect.
I have that. My girlfriend Victoria has that photo framed in her office.
It's right here.
Oh, yep, there you go.
It's right here.
I got it somewhere too. It's not in front of me right now. That's awesome. Good stuff. Love it. Well, Tim, bud, thank you so much, man. We appreciate it. Thanks for all the hard work back in the day.
Thanks,
awesome,
Tim.
Tim Blaney, ladies and gentlemen, former editor of Shifter Card Illustrated, a big contributor in the first couple of years with eKartingNews.com.
Yeah, so
David.
I was going to say, I got a bunch of photos. We can keep going if you want.
Go.
I know there's not very many viewers right now, but here's that 2004. I know I should have brought Blaney in for this.
Wow.
But this is a 2004.
Well, hold on.
So,
he's still there.
Yeah,
he's watching.
He's still there. I'll put him in here. Yeah. So that's 2004, Tim. That's so you're wearing the Shifter Card Illustrated shirt. That's when you guys launched Super Card Illustrated brand.
Yep, that's right. And look at the backward hat.
Yeah.
Well, you did have the camera, so you were taking photos. So I will give you that. So
okay. Well, I guess that's sort of an excuse.
I think I finished 4th or 5th that year in Tag Masters with Keith Freber right there, by the way.
Yeah, so that was, you raced Tag Masters that year. You didn't even do warm-up, and you finished 4th, and Keith goes, imagine if we would have done warm-up. And Rob, what'd you tell him?
I said we wouldn't have had as good a time last night because we were kung fu fighting at the Travoltas, man. I'm telling you that.
Do you still have the suit, the Design 500?
I still have that Design 500 suit, 100%.
I still have mine.
Yeah, the Ski GP suit. Mark Miller designed that suit, by the way.
That's a great look. That was super comfortable suit too.
It was a little thick. It was a super great suit.
Yeah. So that was the last photo I have with Tim there. So
all right, buddy. We'll let you go again.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right, buddy. Later.
Oh,
you got rid of them. All right. What else we got?
That's how we used to end our calls, anyways.
But
one more thing. So yeah, I just got a couple photos I wanted to show, but if you don't want to,
bring them up, baby. We'll wrap it up with some photos. Perfect. We'll cap this thing off.
Mike Smith was making fun of my sunglasses. They were Gators, I think. But
look at those things.
So this was my first international trip.
Yes,
2006, the Winter Cup at South Garda Karting. With Champion Racing and Intrepid, we loaded up like what was like a Mini Cooper car full of luggages. And mind you, this wasn't just clothes. Like Rodney and Brett Berryhill were bringing back parts and luggage back to the shop. So thus why the luggage was so full. So that was awesome. that was a good one. I can't remember how to make this be full screen. Hold on. I can't. Whatever.
We'll do it this way. Shot there.
Yeah. So again, I kind of just got a couple of photos of history in the sport and EKN. But this was at the 2007 Rotax Grand Nationals at Centennial, and this was the announcement of Andy Seisman starting the Challenge of the Americas.
Yep.
So that was my 2007 moment that I have. I got a couple for 2008. This one, just personal one.
Yes.
It's my one and only time taking my child to Rock Island Grand Prix. He wasn't even 1 year old yet. So Aiden, who's going to be 18 here in November.
He'll love that chunky monkey.
Oh yeah. He's not chunky. He's just tall and big now. So.
I know.
Yeah. Rob, you like this one. This is 2008 at the PRI show. If you remember.
All-Star Karting Classic.
Yeah, they actually had karting events when the PRI show was back down in Orlando for a couple of years. We Stars of Karting and PRI show put on a karting event. Glenn talked about Ron Capps. Ron Capps was actually a racer in this race.
Hey, look how many people were there. It was packed.
I mean, because that was as soon as the show hours were done, everybody came outside that building
for the Budweiser welcome party.
Yep.
So they all drank a bunch of Budweiser and then rolled up for this track. We had this track with 19-second racetrack. All the pros raced. It was awesome. Luizzi was there. Scott Speed, Valiante, John Halen,
Will Power.
Yeah.
That's a name. Michael Valiante, Buddy Rice.
Yeah, Buddy Rice. You're right.
Yeah. It was just awesome. That was a wild one.
Oh, I love that.
Another moment. I did the 2009 Schumacher photo. 2010, if you can tell by looking at the racetrack.
That's going to be the first ever Pro Tour race.
Pro Tour race in Sonoma.
Spring Nationals.
Yeah.
Remember who won? You remember who won on Sunday in Tag Cadet?
No.
Colton Herta.
Oh, that's right.
Colton Herta. Yeah.
This is 2010 Super Nationals.
On top of that Oakley trailer.
That Oakley trailer we were talking about earlier. That is me doing the broadcast. Do
you remember? David was so windy, we thought that the trailer was going to tip over.
We did. Yeah, it was a pretty wild moment. Sticking with the Super Nats theme, this is when we all honored Dan Weldon.
Yeah.
Very emotional time there. Just less than a month away, after. So then they did the formation lap for him around the
Indianapolis three wide missing man formation, 11 rows.
Yeah. So it was quite a unique time there. And then our first ever challenge event we broadcasted. You're right there on the right. Look at that sky. That's something about Tucson. That's just amazing. The skies there. But this was the first ever event we covered for the Challenge of the Americas in 2012 at
Looks
Tucson.
like Parker Thompson, Luke Selican, and who's the guy on the left? Scalzo? Zachary Scalzo, maybe?
Something like, yes. But yeah, you're correct. You are correct on that. So another first that we had was in 2013. We're at the first ever United States Pro Kart Series event.
Nice.
At what was then the Mooresville Motorplex in Mooresville, North Carolina. So that is, Rob, do you know who these three drivers are?
I'm going to say is the middle. Oh, I don't know. I just lost it.
Races some truck stuff.
Right? Austin.
Yep. Think of yourself.
Austin Self. That's right.
There you go.
Austin Self. Yep. And
Mason Chalutz.
Mason Chalutz. Is that Joel Jens?
And that's Joel Jens. Yep.
There you go. Wow.
Yeah. So that's another first. And it's not karting related, but it was fun. It was 2013. my first ever trip to Milwaukee Mile. That was
That's
fun.
right.
We got to cover the Star Mazda event there.
Yep.
And I believe Indy Lights were racing at the same
They
time.
were. Yeah.
So.
Brought you up for that one. That was good.
And then this was the big moment in 2013 when the USA hosted the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals. We had 3 drivers from the United States on the podium. That is not Kyle Kirkwood on the right. That is Oliver Askew. And then the only winner at that time for Team USA, Juan Manuel Carrera, who's now racing Indy Lights here back in the USA.
Yeah, I saw him this past year. It was great to see him.
And then Joey Wimsett there on the left, who was a podium finisher for the DD2 category.
Had a chance to call that race. It was fun.
It was wild. That was a wild event. And then
wasn't it? It was so
we
good.
left there to go to the Super Nats. It was pretty wild and crazy. And then my last. Oh, go ahead.
You guys, it was a busy couple of weeks for you and I.
It was. And my last photo, I only went to 2014 because everything else was pre the website we have. But just the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. That was just a phenomenal street race. Obviously, we've talked about Rock Island many times. But this on the West Coast, I knew Mike Smith could even talk more about this one.
Yeah.
It was just a fantastic event. The city really got behind it. That picture alone just shows you the amount of work they went. They actually had rental carts going around a temporary circuit. So it was like corporate or it was charity races going around. That was probably some of the fun race calls you had there.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yes. The Friday night charity races, the Streets of Lancaster races were absolutely hilarious because literally I could mind meld guys into the wall. That was so funny.
That was a good time for sure.
It was. So. That race was great. Well, dude, 21 years for us, 25 years in total for EKN. Again, a shout out to Glenn Holland and Chris Ortenberg for coming on early. Again, those are the guys that laid it down. I still remember that phone call. Do you want to buy the website? Yeah, I really do. Let's do it. And paid a lot of money for it, and it was well worth it. And the way we went.
I remember the car ride.
And it brought you on board, baby. It brought you on board.
We weren't going to Siepkins, but we were leaving Road America. I think we just went out for lunch. I think you were like, let's go out for lunch real quick.
All right.
Like, okay.
There you have it. There you go. And you had a job.
I did. Yeah.
Well,
not exactly right away, obviously. Yes. But November, it was a pretty wild time because actually my brother got sick in December of that year. So I was just working for you for 1 month. And then luckily I was working at home. So I was able to help take care of my brother during that crazy time. So it's just funny how things align that way. Like again, passion and everything else, and just like connections, like we were talking, like Xander was talking, Mike was talking again, just, you never know quite what's going to happen. So it is hard to predict that we are here 21 years later, that the website's still going, still got the original logo, just a lot of craziness and a lot of memories.
Listen, let's take the time before we wrap things up to shout out to you, David. I know you don't always like being in the spotlight and you can't pronounce anybody's names, but
I can't.
21 years at the helm. I hired you, as I said, a young guy, 25 years old, server at a pizza place or a bar somewhere, whatever it was. You ended up coming on board. You learned as you went, right? We threw you into the deep end, baptism by fire. You learned as you went, and the evolution of everything that's happened with EKN. You've been the guy at the forefront of this. And I mentioned before, kind of the quarterback of it all. Every time I have an idea, you normally will lean into it and say, okay, we'll figure out a way to make it work. We've added podcasts, we've added live streaming, we've added YouTube, we've had, the stuff we just keep adding, the EKN radio network. Those of you who are subscribing to our EKN news desk email bulletin, we just keep evolving what we do to deliver news in the way people want to consume it. But I just want to thank you for everything you've done, dude. 21 years. It's pretty amazing to be side by side with you all the time. The trust I have in what you're doing, I think that's one of the biggest things as an owner of a publication like this, as of a media company. I just trust what you're going to do. We have the same mindset, and thanks for 2 decades plus one.
Thank you, Rob. We're like a quarterback coach relationship. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. But we got to keep pushing forward until we get the touchdown, or
that's it,
or win the game. And each year we win the game. Each day we win the game because we get to enjoy doing what we do. It's, again, we talk about it, it's not a job. It's a kind of a lifestyle. It's a career that we love.
It's nonstop. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten harder. You would think it would get easier as we've moved along through these years. It's definitely gotten harder. We've added a graphic designer now to my palette. I'm learning more and more every day. So quite unique.
Listen, we've had some cool people that have helped throughout the years. With EKN, the early years, Tony Laporta was part of our program for a while. Nate Dean was part of our program. We've had people that have come in to be part. Tim Blaney was early on. We've had a lot of help from people over the years that really have been, played their roles for a year here, a year there. Again, you and I have been the ones that have been around for the whole time. But shout out to those that have really been part of everything we've done over the last 21 years. Yeah,
and again, we're always open to people working with us. We always get the email, hey, it'd be great if you guys can do an article on the such and such. Hey, we're happy to work with whoever and whenever.
Yeah.
And again,
always.
Any article, anybody has an idea, we're always open to that. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is it's not just what we come up with. We want to incorporate what other people are thinking in the community and what they want to do. So again, our email is always open. We're always open for conversations, especially next weekend when we're at Cup Karts North America.
Yeah.
Come talk to us, hang out, come up with some ideas. And again, we're always looking for that next person who wants to be a writer, wants to do photography, wants to do video, graphics, whatever. Again, we want to work with whoever and do whatever we can because, very similar like what Mike said and everything else, we're here to grow the sport. We're working for the industry itself, but the community as well too. So we're it's not necessarily so we can get fat rich. It's to help grow the sport that I certainly love. You're a big part of it. So I'm running out of drink. I need more drink.
Me too, but we'll wrap this up. Two things right now. First and foremost, a quick scroll up the comments. Thank you so much, everybody. Mm-hmm. A lot of really, really nice stuff that you guys have dropped in here. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Again, this is our community. You guys are our people, right? I want
to say something. What's up, Bill Kistler?
Bill Kistler.
Great photographer.
A big part of our family in the early days, for sure.
Yeah.
Bill Kistler. Yeah.
I actually stole a bunch of his photos from the Wayback Machine. So,
hey, listen, and last but not least, all the organization we've worked with for the last 20 years, they work with us hugely. We wouldn't be able to do this if they didn't work with us. All the advertisers, our advertising partners have been with us. Some have been with us for 10, 15 years. Many, it's just because we're just super, super thankful because we couldn't do this without that. It's a revenue machine. You have to have advertising come in. And we've got great advertising partners. The industry's got behind us. Some people don't, some people do. And those of you who do, thank you very much. There wouldn't be any eKartingNews if it wasn't for you guys. So again, organizations and everybody who reads everything, thank you so much.
Yeah, and again, thank you for the scoring people like a Shelby Jocelyn or a Allie Billings. I will get her right. I forgot Shelby's new last name.
I don't know exactly right.
Shelby Jocelyn. Everybody knows Shelby.
Yeah.
All the many different scoring people, race directors, race officials that I've argued with over and over again. I'm sure they enjoy. Like Tim Coyen loves when I correct him all the time.
Yep. He told me that.
So a lot of those people, again, a lot of those people have put up with us. Majority of me because I'm the more annoying one. You've been pretty good up until lately because now you're that old crabby guy.
I'm getting a little crabby.
Yeah. So, thank you to all the organizations and events that have worked with it, like a Roger Ruthart for Rock Island Grand Prix and all the other events we've been to. Especially the advertisers who support us yearly and monthly. Again, thank you because again we're here to promote the sport and to help you become a bigger company and grow the sport as well.
Let's cap it off, folks. Thank you so much. EKN 25 years. Big again. Thank you to Glenn Holland for joining us. Chris Ortenberger, Xander Clemens coming on. Really nice for Xander to come on. He wanted to say, give some shout outs. He had a lot of fun working with him early on. Mike Smith, of course, and last but not least, my former editor of Shifter Card Illustrated, a big contributor early in the days, Tim Blaney. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We really appreciate it. Happy hour with Howden is done. We'll do more of these for sure. I need another drink pretty soon. Thanks for tuning in. On behalf of David Cole, my name is Rob Howden. Bye for now.